New images of 3i Atlas just dropped from Spain, Thailand, and Norway, and they're all showing the same strange pattern. And honestly, these independent frames are clearer, sharper, and far more revealing than anything NASA showed in their live stream. It's almost ironic. While the official broadcast felt like a recap, the real updates were happening off-screen, captured by people who simply pointed their telescopes and hit record. The Spanish team caught a perfectly stable, perfectly circular core. No signs of breakup, no distortion, nothing collapsing. Thailand picked up the same structure under cloudy skies with a halo that looks layered, almost like stacked shells. Norway caught the tail twisting. The material doesn't spread randomly. It curls, like 3i Atlas is rotating as it drifts through the void. 3 countries, 3 nights. 3 different setups, and all of them captured details that never appeared in the official imagery. The first update comes from Extremadura, Spain, and it's the one that immediately changes the tone of this whole story. This was a long exposure luminance frame, the kind that usually exaggerates motion blur and hides fine structure. But instead, the core of 3i Atlas looks almost unreal. It's tight, circular, perfectly centered, and clean, even with the star streaks cutting across the background. If this object were breaking apart, this is where we'd see it first. Double peaks, warped brightness, an elongated intensity center. But none of that shows up. The energy distribution is solid. If anything, too solid. And then there's the forward glow. In earlier images, it looks soft, vague, something you could chalk up to processing noise. But in this new Spanish frame, it's sharper, more defined. If something was weakening, this glow should fade. Instead, it's tightening. Now jump to Thailand, different sky, different transparency, different equipment, and yet the same result. Even through clouds, the brightness profile doesn't lie. The central glow forms an almost perfect intensity ring once enhanced. The outer layers look stacked, like faint shells around the core. And here's the part people keep replaying. The gradients from Thailand match the gradients from Spain almost exactly. 2 locations, thousands of kilometers apart under totally different sky conditions, and they produce nearly identical data. That doesn't happen by accident. You can fake processing techniques. You can't fake consistent physics. And this is where the tension starts to build. Because if the core is this stable, this symmetrical, this resistant to distortion, then we're not looking at a fragile object. We're looking at something holding itself together as it moves through the void. And for 3i Atlas, that's not what anyone expected. In the next update, Norway adds a twist. Literally. The tail starts doing something that changes the entire picture. The Norwegian frame is where everything shifts, because while Spain and Thailand showed us how stable the core of 3i Atlas really is, Norway reveals what that stability might be doing to the material around it. This observation comes from Bordeaux 4 skies, with just about an hour of exposure. Not exactly ideal conditions for capturing delicate comet structures. Even so, the tail shows up with surprising clarity. It's long, thin, and sharply defined. But there's something else happening along its length. A curl, a subtle twist, like the material isn't simply trailing off behind the object. It's being pulled into a turn. That curling pattern is exactly what you'd expect if 3i Atlas is rotating. Not breaking apart, not slowing down, rotating. And rotation changes everything. Because when a comet-like object spins, the material it ejects doesn't leave evenly. It leaves in waves, pockets of a higher density, slight curves, asymmetries that stretch into the tail. And that's precisely what Norway caught. Not chaos, not fragmentation, a controlled, consistent spiral. And here's what makes this even stranger. This twist lines up with the layered halo seen in Thailand and the stable core seen in Spain. 3 different signatures, rotation, symmetry, and expansion, all pointing to the same behavior. Normally, this is where we'd expect the official channels to jump in with an explanation. But NASA's live stream didn't mention any of this, and no talk of twisting tails, and no mention of rotational cues, nothing about expanding halos or reinforced symmetry. It's not that they're hiding something. At least, I'm not saying that. It just feels like they're looking in one direction, while the most interesting details are happening slightly off to the side. And the next image, the wide field frame from Virginia, is where all these pieces finally align into a full pattern. It's the moment the data stops feeling coincidental and starts feeling deliberate. The wide field shot from Virginia is the moment everything clicks into place, not because it's the sharpest image or the most dramatic, but because it shows the full structure of 3I Atlas in a way none of the others could. The whole shape, stretched across the darkness with enough space around it to see how far the tail actually goes, and it goes far, much farther than earlier exposures ever suggested. In this frame, the tail isn't just long, it's organized. There's a spine running through it, a consistent direction, a thinness that shouldn't survive at these speeds. And through all of that, the one feature that refuses to change is the core, still perfectly circular, still perfectly centered, still resisting any sign of collapse. So now we have 4 independent data points. Spain, a stable, symmetric core. Thailand, a layered halo expanding outward. Norway, a twisting tail hinting at rotation. Virginia, a long, coherent structure that holds together under motion. And when you line them up, the pattern is unmistakable. The halo changes, the forward glow changes, the tail changes, but the core never does. That's the strange part. That's the part nobody expected. And that's the part NASA didn't highlight in their live stream, but they had hours of broadcast. They had the official spotlight. But the details that matter most, the symmetry, the expansion, the twist, ended up being captured by people outside the official narrative. People with smaller telescopes, smaller beams, and apparently a much better view. I don't think NASA's hiding anything. But it does feel like they're out of sync. Like the most interesting behavior of 3I Atlas is happening between the frames they chose to show, not inside them. And that leaves us with one simple, uncomfortable question. Why is this object becoming more structured the closer it gets? A core that refuses to break, a halo expanding faster than expected, and a tail behaving like something under rotation. This isn't the signature of an object falling apart. It's the signature of something holding itself together. Next, we'll tie all of this into what it might mean, scientifically, physically, and maybe even philosophically, as 3I Atlas continues drifting through the void. When you put all these new images together, a clear picture forms, not of a failing object, not of a comet tearing itself apart, but of a structure that's somehow staying balanced in the middle of its own chaos. As the halo grows, the glow sharpens, the tail twists, yet the core of 3I Atlas holds steady, as if it's carrying its own rules through the darkness. And I think that's why these independent observations hit so hard. Not because they expose some hidden truth, but because they reveal something the official stream simply overlooked: the quiet, stubborn coherence of this object. Spain, Thailand, Norway, Virginia, each one caught a piece of a pattern that NASA never brought into the spotlight. Maybe it's just timing, maybe it's priorities, that maybe the universe just likes telling its story through unexpected voices. But whatever the reason, 3I Atlas is showing us that not everything drifting through the void is fragile. Some things stay whole, some things stay centered, some things keep their symmetry even as the darkness tries to pull them apart. And if that doesn't make you look up at the night sky a little differently, I don't know what will. If you want to keep following this mystery with me, the updates, the anomalies, the things we catch before the official summaries, feel free to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and if you want to support this kind of deep dive storytelling, maybe consider becoming a member. No pressure, just an invitation to stay curious with me. I'll keep watching 3I Atlas as it moves across the void, and if the universe decides to whisper something new, I'll be here to hear it.